There we go. Check 1, 2. There it is. All right, all right. Oof. Make sure that monitor's off. Check 1, 2. There it is. Everything's set up. Okay, sorry for the radio silence, but this is a heavy lift on my machine, so trying to make sure I have all my ducks in a row. Yeah, all right, here we go. Okay, so right now I'm just getting dialed into working with a client where we're going to be building a climate adaptation guidebook. And they've sent me the wireframe, and so now I've got to make the initial build process. I'm using my standard set of tools: generate press theme and generate blocks, both the premium/pro version. And right now I'm going to go in and start setting this puppy up, make sure that generate press has the license, and now I'm going to start playing. So activating the site library so I can start with a template that most closely relates to the wireframe, and then I'll go from there. So some of the features in the wireframe are, you know what? Yeah. Some of the features in the wireframe that add complication are there's a sidebar navigation menu that rides right here. The entire use of the site, and then you click on it and it'll slide out and give you some navigation options that are specific either to the page you're on or to the site itself. And so I'm looking for something that might already have that built in. I don't think there are any instances in the GeneratePress premium site library that already have that feature. I'm just going to scroll through real quick to see if anything catches my eye and says, "Ooh, that's close." And already, actually, this layout here is kind of close, but keep looking for more. It's not at all the same. It's just, if you want to call it close, it's close. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything that catches my eye. Maybe the Java. So I guess what I need to do is pull up the wireframe, which the wireframe is added to Slack channel. So pull it up. And can I bring it over here? Yeah. No, I'm going to dock it. Undock it. There we go. So this is the initial wireframe. Menu item up at the top. The site, probably the H1, is going to be this. This is the site title. And then below it is an icon that actually is a nav option as well. So all of these features ideally are hoverable and linkable. And then the content begins, right? And so this is the general wireframe. These are all tab connected opportunities, as are these. So those in building in, and then this takes you to the next step. So that actually is a menu that clicks to the next page. And I'm not sure yet if that's the actual footer or if there's something below it. So that's what I'm dealing with right now. So they haven't yet sent the color palette. So I'll be building global blocks as well, anticipating a color palette, and then I'll go and put those pieces to the puzzle into play once they're built or identified, or whatever you call it. So actually, none of these are jumping out at me. So I might not start with a site library at all, or an instance from a site library at all, which is fine. I do see some features though that mean I'm going to need some different plugins. So I'll go ahead and add those plugins. Those features that I'm referring to were the tab. It's kind of like an accordion, but it's more a tab, internal linking mechanism from within the page itself. And I think cadence blocks have that feature built in. So I'm going to grab them. And also, I know, well, let's see, while we're here, let's dial this in. A lot of this stuff I don't want. And so I don't want to overload with bloat being pulled in. I might need that. I don't think I need that, but I'm going to keep it open because I don't want to break things that might rely on it. I don't need those. Tabs. See this? That's definitely what I'm looking for. Not sure about that. I don't need those. I don't think I need the icon list, but I might. The accordion might be another solution that's kind of like tabs. So I'm going to leave that open, and then I'll turn that off later. And I'll be using generate block headlines, as they call them. So I don't need that. And I'll be building the advanced buttons using generate blocks too. So I think that's just about everything we need. Right. Okay, we're good. Good there. And now for another plugin. I know from conversations that we're going to need to be able to replicate these pages. And so Jetpack has a really handy dandy page copy tool. So I'm going to grab that. And I assume I'm going to want Jetpack Boost as well. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that. And I'll activate those in a few minutes. So SiteGround has a great optimizer that I don't know if it's proprietary, meaning I can't use it here, or if I can. So I'm going to use both. I'm going to try to use both of these SiteGround tools that I use in my day-to-day, because I actually use SiteGround as a web hosting service provider. So I really like those tools. Go ahead and activate everything. And I'm going to enable auto updates once that's finished. Oh, yeah. Okay, let's set this up. And just to avoid any password privileges, breaks, whatever, I'm going to try and protect against those real quick. Yeah. Got this screen. Right. Yeah. Okay. So I can't set Jetpack up until it's off of the staging server. So fine. And we'll go back into those plugins and enable them for auto updates. All right. Okay. Jetpack. Catch you later, bro. Okay. And we'll activate these. Yeah. Okay. I thought that might be the case. Both of these SiteGround tools are only available when you are using SiteGround hosting. So that's good to know. I thought as much, but I hadn't ever tested it. Okay. Yep. There you have it. Mm-hmm. So tools that I would use to replace SiteGround, well, we'll use WordFence to replace. We'll use WordFence to replace the SiteGround security. And right now we'll use the freemium version of WordFence. We're also going to need RankingMath SEO. We'll use the freemium version of that as well. And what was I saying? Freemium version of RankingMath, which, by the way, is amazing. I love it. Really, really like RankingMath. I used to be a Yoast fan until one of my buddies on Twitter mentioned RankingMath, a timer 3, and I was like, you know what? I gotta try this out. What is this thing? And it's really, really very good. So I gotta go set that up real quick. The free plan, yes, thank you. Just doing that off screen. Trying to give me a little bit of privacy protection. I know I look like I'm fancy. Kill me. If you stole my stuff, I don't have any. Okay, it's not a personal blog. News site, no. We're going to call this other business website. Organizational card profit. Okay, so those pieces are there. And we'll dial that puppy in later. Or too deep or dark with that. And then another plugin to help with to replace the SiteGround optimizer. I'm not a big fan of Smush, so let's see. What's recommended out there? Yeah, free. But man, Avada, they've got some kind of agenda with this WP Rocket. Let's see. All right. I'm going to try WP Rocket. I'll at least install it and see what happens. Is it all one word? No. come up in the top? That's curious. Okay, I'm gonna do more research and I'm not gonna use anything now. I'll tee that stuff up later because it's actually not integral to the success of this build. So anyway, plugins are set up and I'm not going to pull in an instance yet for this puppy. Okay. So let's go and let's get organized. I guess the first thing I want to do is start building generate blocks, global blocks. Like I said, I'm going to modify these once I have the actual brand palette, but I can anticipate what they might be. I'm of two minds as to whether or not I should build them here in the customizer or whether I should be building them elsewhere. Just elsewhere, maybe. Why can't I see myself? Oh, I moved it over here. All right. Okay, so I'm just going to call these global styles, right? So as I was saying, I'm uncertain whether I want to build these all here or in the customizer, but I just feel like if I build them here, it'll be more readily available and easier to connect and attend to and turn off if I need to turn anything off in particular. So I'm going to start best practice. Everything goes in a container. And we're just going to call this global styles container. Okay. And so what I want to start adding are initially just the headlines. So we'll start with an H1. Okay. And global styles H1. So the question then is there going to be an alternative, right? So this will be just one variant, and then we'll have a couple more variants, I assume. But it's title case, so let's look at the transform button. Everything needs to be capitalized. Okay, and I haven't been given a font yet, so I'm just going to stick with, let's see, do I want to set a font? Yeah, I'll go ahead and put one in here. This is not the same font that at all connects to what they've got. It doesn't look at all the same. But I really like this font, so I'm going to push for it. And font size 42. It's probably going to need to be set much larger. So we'll set it at, say, 80. And then we'll go into the mobile version and we'll set the font size at something like 36. I think that might be good. Okay. So that's the H1. Next up, H2. Global styles H2. So looking at the wireframe, I feel like H2s are going to there are going to be some alternatives. So this one we're going to call H2 red. So we'll go ahead, by the wireframe, I'll show you what I'm looking at. This is the wireframe they provided me. I think these are going to be H2s. This is going to be an H2. Both of those are all uppercase. One H2 is red, one H2 is some variation of black. This will also be an H2, but the lowercase, it's not even title case. This is likely an H2, judging by the layout. I don't think I can go H2, H3, but I might be able to. Best practice, so we'll tee that up. We'll tee that up as an H3. Okay. So H2s are uppercase, and this is the H2 red. So again, not having the actual color palette, I'll just go with that default. And I don't think that those items are ever going to be clickable. So I don't need to worry about the hover colors or link colors, anything like that. Yep, okay. And then we're going to need another H2. So we'll duplicate this one, but we'll change the name to black. And we'll change the color to black. And there was one possibility that H2, this could be an H2. So that's red, but not uppercase. So we're going to change this to red uppercase. And then we're going to duplicate this one and change that to just lowercase. Right? Oops. Looks good. Okay, so we've got our H2s. I don't know if we're going to have any H3s to play with, but if we do, that might be one. And if that were an H2, then this might be an H3. So if this is an H2, this might be an H3. But again, if they're stacked, this could be an let's see, H2, H3, paragraph. And could it really be H4 and H5? Because it's connected to that piece. So it's a subset of this. Size doesn't really play a role in the header features when you're doing the metadata. This is to talk to all the robots who might be watching and listening, right? So let's dial those in real quick. And while we're here, this is H2 black. Let's just call it uppercase, and then we'll create another one that's H2 black lowercase, just for grins. You know what though? If I do that transform, let's go with call that normal. And we also need to go back and retitle this H2 headline as normal as well, because it's going to force that initial letter to be lowercase. So I don't want to force that. I want it all lowercase, right? Okay. So while we're here, let's duplicate some more puppies. Okay, I'm going to duplicate this and then change that to H3. I'm going to change this to H3. And we're going to shift it down. And then I'll do the same for that. And again, I'm going to repeat that process for H4 and H5. So I have them all baked in. And then I can tinker with them once I get the branding. Do we go H5 just for gets and shiggles? Let's do it. I really don't see myself needing these, but I would rather have them and not. Now I need to go and do the same thing for these H2s, right? I'm going to duplicate this one. Move that to H3. And move it down. Duplicate this one. Move into H3. And move it down. Okay, those are good. My notes seems like a lot of effort. Is this a lot of effort? Geez, I'm not even breaking a sweat. What kind of ludicrousness makes us feel like, oh man, you're taking so long? No, I'm really not. Actually, this is going to streamline the build process. That's why we use generate blocks and generate press. Use the controls here. Now, if you don't know a single piece of code, you could still use these tools. Okay, so there we have it. Now, these are all based on pop-ins, right? So if we're not using pop-ins, we just come back and we should be good to go. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and publish those changes right there. Okay. That H1, I don't see it needing anything else, so I'm just going to leave it. And like I was saying, I could be doing all of this in the customizer. And I almost feel like I need to go and replicate that same process in the customizer just for consistency. You can really tell that my machine is slowing down now. Probably a little too taxing. Just realized I wasn't tracking my time, so I need to add that time tracker tool in. Okay. Okay, so here we go. The customizer tool for generate press, when you pull in an instance from the site library, all of this gets teed up. But because I didn't start with an instance, I'm starting with a blank canvas. I don't really have anything to tee up yet. So I'm going to go and back out of there and build some pages real quick. And these pages are based on the wireframe. So we'll do an about, we'll do the guidebook, we'll do resources, stories, and connect. The guidebook. Sources. Stories and connect. So now while I'm in here, if I reload the page, the customizer, I should be able to change the homepage settings to reflect the static version of the guidebook. And now we'll dial in some different pieces of the puzzle. Mm-hmm. I'm going to need to get that alignment centered as well, but we'll do that in a few minutes. So I'll be right back. to these messages.